that's the non-consolidated statements. I'll pause if there's any other questions from the council.
Any questions in regards to the non-consolidated statement? We're good. We'll go to the next report, please.
Okay, so the final set of statements is the consolidated statement. So again, this is the one that takes into account all the funds together, as well as bringing in Alderwood and Highland Manor into the financial statements. So this is the one where we issued the audit opinion. So there is a qualified opinion on financial statements, as there has been in previous years. So in the prior year, we had qualified due to the fact that both Alderwood and Highland Manor did not present a budget within their financial statements. Alderwood has corrected that this year, so the qualification has changed, and now it is just noted there that it's a Highland Manor that hasn't hadn't had a budget prepared as part of the audited financial statements. So that's the only remaining item that relates to that qualification. Within our opinion, we do state kind of other than that one particular item, the statements do present fairly with public sector accounting standards.
So Highland Manor not presenting their statements properly with the budget affects the county overall's audit report. So it looks like we have something wrong. Well, we have a qualified, which is not a good report, and it's based on Highland Manor.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so looking at page 4 is the consolidated statement of financial position. So again, this is taking into account all the funds that we looked at in the previous page, plus the results of Highland Manor and Alderwood. So cash and cash equivalents has increased by 2.1 million up to 19.6 million. Taxes receivable, again, as we saw previously, has declined by 161,574. User charges receivable has increased slightly to 46,000 up to 215, and receivables from government has increased by 336,000 to 706. That increase is related to is mainly related to Alderwood. Other receivables is consistent with prior year, and then restricted cash increase of 254,000 to 2.9 million. That again, those are funds that are held for Alderwood Corporation for future capital upgrades. So they're in restricted fund. So total financial assets has increased by 2.6 million up to 24.4 million. Financial liabilities, payables and accruals has increased by 948,000 to 3.9 million. Deferred revenue has increased by 193,000 up to just shy of 3 million. Asset retirement obligations, so again, that's the number that we saw in the previous set of statements related to the new accounting standard at 238,000. Capital renewal fund, that's the same, the offsets the restricted cash for all this help for Alderwood for future capital of 2.9. Other liabilities, increase of 685,000 to 1.2 million. Sick leave liability is increased by 55,000 to 755,000. Long-term debt has declined by 2.1 million, so down from 21.3 to 19.2. So overall, the financial liabilities has gone down by 250,000 to 31.3 million. So that, combined with the increase in the financial assets, has improved the net debt of the municipality from a deficit of 9.29 million to a deficit of 6.9 million. So a improvement there of almost 2.4 million. Non-financial assets, so the total capital assets has a net increase of 392,000. So that is both $1.4 million in total new additions related to capital, less the depreciation charges that were recorded during the year. So overall, there is a accumulated surplus, 19 million in the prior year. That has improved to 21.78 million. So next page, page 5 is the consolidated statement of operations. Again, we'll look at this on a total basis compared to budget. So your net tax revenue improvement of 179,000 from where you had budgeted to just above 8 million. Grants in lieu of taxes are consistent with budget. Government grants and capital contributions has shown an increase of $652,000 over budget. User charges and water rates is consistent with budget as well as other revenue. Collections for other governments is declined by $114,000 from budget. Sales and services, $44,000 over budget. Interest revenue was only budgeted to be $11,000. I came in at $335,000. Revenue from Department of Health and Wellness, so again, this is revenue related to Alderwood and Highland Manor, was budgeted at $8.2 million, came in at $11.3 million. So it shows an increase of 3.1, but that's also a factor of Highland Manor not having these revenues budgeted. So that's part of that increase as well. Sales services for housing operations increased to $287,000 over budget. Miscellaneous housing revenues, $105,000. And other miscellaneous revenue, this was related to capital funding of $557,000. So overall, you had budgeted revenues of $21.9 million, and that came in $5.5 million over budget at $27.5. Expenses, so total budgeted expenses were $20,141,000. They came in $4.67 million over budget to $24.8. So general government services were $424,000 under budget. Protective services and transportation services were consistent with your budgeted numbers. Environmental health services came in $198,000 over budget to $2.98. Economic development services, $130,000 under budget at $96. Public health and welfare, $40,000 over budget. Recreation services came in $64,000 under budget, $489,000. Housing operations show coming in $4.8 million over budget. So again, that's tied to that Highland Manor issue of not having a budget figure in there. Water treatment and distribution, consistent with budgeted figures, and transfers to other governments, budgeted at $63,000, came in $222,000 over budget to $285,000. So overall, there was a budgeted surplus to be for consolidated purposes of $1.8 million. That came in $881,000 over budget to $2.7 million, giving you that accumulated surplus that we saw on the previous page of 21.7.
Any questions? Comments? Good.
Just one.
Sure.
Just in the government grants, that means the 2,306,000 we received in total we received from them. You know, the second.
You mean the revenues or the?
Yeah, the revenues. Yeah, we budget like a 391, and that's for the grants.
1 million?
Yeah.
Do you know what is the makeup of that one, Rob, the government grants and capital contributions?
The 391.
391 to the 104.3?
Yeah.
I think that, my guess on that line is that's the sustainable services growth fund.
Yes.
We didn't increase in that line, so we didn't budget that because we didn't know about that. And so that was $500 and some thousand. So that would be what would need to be higher than budgeted.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? You good? Okay. Anything else? Do you have any other reports that you want?
Can we typically go through the,
We don't, but could.
doesn't matter. If we don't, that's fine.
Don't normally.
Yeah.
It usually goes to the audit committee.
Okay.
We are scouting for a member of our audit committee. If anyone here is the audit committee, we'd be interested in having you. So there was just a couple of points on the internal control letter. One was one that's always been there, segregation of duties. Now that we have another staff member in the financial department, we're hoping to get rid of that one. And then
just around the valuation of the future liability for the C&D site.
Right.
Yeah, so we identified that the work is undertaken for the full asset base through the ARO standard, but just looking that there is, it is still I guess, something that needs to be looked at in terms of what the actual future outlay would be related to the CD stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were able to get rid of a number of findings through the year, so.
Any questions from anybody in the room by chance? All right, having said that, we have a motion to accept the financial statements for the year ending 2023.
Someone.
Moved by Councilor McLeod, seconded by Councilor Longo, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're done.
You set the signs, you're gonna have to sign it later. Yeah, there you go.
So the next item on the agenda this afternoon, we have a presentation from the Waterfront Debt Committee, and Steve Goldthwait is going to provide a presentation, and I'll let you introduce Steve. Nice to see you. Welcome to council. I'll let you introduce the members that are with you here today as well. So once you do the introductions, I know you know all of the councilors and the CAO, so I'll leave the introductions to you, and then you can start your presentation.
Great, thank you very much. With us today, we have John Langley, our secretary, and board of the committee. We get rid of Scary Crowder, the village commission, and Jennifer McDonald. And we have Steve Ross, who is also on our board of that committee. This one, this. And releasing.
You don't have to speak to the mic, you need to speak to the owl. Wonder if we should move that.
It's not right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You, maybe what we'll do is move you up closer to the owl.
Sure.
Some cords there in front of you, just be careful.
Maybe then I'll stand, that might sound like a little bit better. Okay, well, thank you all very much for having me again. It's always kind of a privilege to be here. I was actually here a little over a year ago. We were talking about the Gateway project, and I'm here to talk about the boardwalk, but you know, the boardwalk is really a part of a larger waterfront. And I'm going to open by kind of sharing what has happened in the last year on the waterfront. But I want to really emphasize how important the waterfront really is in a connected series of destinations. Right? Our waterfront is connected to the other waterfronts. People are traveling by boat. It's connected in maritime history to places like Lunenburg and Mahone Bay. You know, interestingly, Bedeck is one of the few places where the public has access to the Verdor Lake. And it's something that we as a waterfront committee take really seriously. And how do we enhance that access? The boardwalk project has elements to it that will enhance public access, and it's a really important project we're excited to talk to you about today. So what's happened since I last saw you a year ago? The wharf had a really busy and successful season. We had probably over 25,000 visitors, and we're welcoming boats of all sizes. It's really first and foremost a community wharf, but we want boats coming from all destinations. And yes, we have, you know, big boats that come in. We have the commercial tour operators successfully running this year, but increasingly we're bringing in tall ships and boats like the Coast Guard that we can do programming. So we think about the wharf as a community asset, And it's an important economic, and we'll talk about that in a minute, asset for the village. This summer, the Lions Club swim program kicked off, and, you know, I came to you, I think, a year or two ago to talk about the dock that was built. That was really important. The Lions Club actually brought 4,300 people over to Kiston Island for their swim program. And that's really also central to our waterfront. We support them as much as we can, but, you know, the county has really supported a lot of our projects. We really appreciate that. I think we've been successful at, you know, leveraging the dollars we've received from the county and the village to do projects like this wharf and others. And we think about ourselves as a community and community program. We had great community events. We had an intern that we got a grant for. We did walks on Kiston Island. We worked with Explore the Door. We did the Bedeck Quest, which was a way for us to connect the waterfront into the broader community. So we're thinking about it in kind of broader context. It's not just about a wharf, just about bringing boats in. It's really about the community. And I think you might have heard before that the power was lost on Kiston Island because of Fiona, Nova Scotia Power, early in the season. John Langley worked very hard for them to restore it, no charge. You know, we really tried to leverage the dollars and resources we have. So that was critical to the Lions Club swim program. And a big day for us always is when the floating docks go in. That kind of kicks off the season. Last summer was the first summer that we actually had the power casters working on the wharf. And, you know, all of this has happened in really a short time frame. The power and water is critical for us to welcome the visiting boaters. And I think you all know about the Gateway Project. Came here, and that's what I was talking to you about last year. But that's kind of, you know, what I would think of as a mid-sized project that really does work to enhance the area and keeping it, you know, part of the village, making sure that the work we do feels like Bedeck and feels like the village. And central core of that was the public washrooms. And I know that was really important to the county. It's important to us. It's important to the village. I'm calling it phase one for the washrooms because we want to enhance them a little more. We now have a shower. We want to do better communication around that. But that was important for us to have another option for public washrooms here in Bedeck, and we did that last spring. And Kiston Island, you know, Kiston Island creates the harbor, protects the harbor, and it's really important for us to protect the island. We're doing that through scientific work. We're studying sediment transportation, working with CBU, and we did a lighthouse survey, which discovered that the foundation of the lighthouse, which is 112 years old, is in need of repair. But all of these projects are kind of critical to the work we've done, and, you know, a lot of that again has happened since last year. And it wouldn't happen without the volunteers. We have great volunteers. We have a really motivated group or team, and we have a lot of fun doing all the work that I'm sharing with you here. But what's important to us is to think about sustainability. And there's economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and just some of the stats. You know, last year we had 144 different boats come to the wharf for 242 nights. It was a busy season, but even with that, the wharf is probably only about 40% utilized. We have a lot of opportunity to increase visitors to the wharf for various reasons and various kinds of boats. And when I was here in March, I had indicated that we were going to do 57,000, a little more than 57,000 in 2023. Last year, we actually did 74,000. And a lot of that money does, you know, some of it, we have fixed expenses, gets reinvested. And our projections, which we'll be presenting at the Waterfront Bedeck meeting this Friday, are 90,000 for this upcoming season. That's an important model because, yes, we come here and we talk to you about support, financial support, and others, but we also have kind of a profitable, sustainable wharf that allows us to generate dollars that we can then leverage and grow. That's the waterfront, and actually maybe the boardwalk is perhaps the most important part of the waterfront. And that's really what I am here to talk to you about. How do we think about its future, and, you know, what do we really do about that? The location of the boardwalk, right here, as you can see in that first photo, is really in one of the most beautiful places in Cape Breton. And Victoria County has much of its, you know, much of the county is, you know, on the border with water. And all these waterfronts are connected, and they're all important. But the boardwalk, it's, you know, it was built around the 1980s, is really under threat from climate change, the way it was constructed, and something needs to happen, and something really needs to happen within the next year, no more than 2 years. Our plan is, you'll see in a minute, for 2025. But the boardwalk, even this summer, we're gonna have to do some work just to make it usable. So it's under threat, and, you know, we're really prepared to do the work. I provided a handout, we've been very active in fundraising and telling our story. And in the handout I gave you can read a little more detail about the role of the boardwalk and what we've done. But to cover some of the highlights, community engagement is really important. Back in 2021, we had our first waterfront workshop. We did some structural engineering in 2022 that said, you know, the useful life of the boardwalk is over and we need to do something. Fiona made it worse. And a significant development was the land was donated to the village by a local family. And that was really important. I know the county was working on some of that. Then we started the process of applications and other things. But a lot of work has happened, you know, in the last several years to get us to the point where we are today. And that point really is to close the gap on fundraising and start planning for the construction in the next 12 to 24 months. So what is the timeline? What are our milestones? You know, we're targeting to have our funding in place by mid-May. And if we can do that, we can have the engineering work done by early summer. We can have contractors selected by late summer. And our goal would be to start the work on the boardwalk in the fall of 2024. It can stay open for the summer. And then as you can see, if we can start it and work on it in the fall, we can get most of the major construction complete. And then next spring, we can do the plantings, we can do some of the soft scaping, final inspections, and then we would open the boardwalk on July 13th, 2025. We have a public opening, we welcome the funders, the participants, everybody who supported us. But this is an important time frame because the boardwalk really won't survive into 2026. So it needs to be done, and it needs to be done now. And we have some very capable people. Steve Ross here really leads all the construction on our committee, but you know, we've got some really good talent in planning, the construction, and the engineering. And as I said, engaging the community is really important in what we do. We want to hear from the community as to what they want. We've got lots of different community sessions, and I think we've got a good framework of how do we rebuild the boardwalk. We want to extend it into the water. We want to keep it very similar in feel to what it is today, but we also want to improve access to the resort. We want to have some steps down into the water. We'd like to have a floating dock or two so you can tie a paddleboard. Remember, this location is one of the few places where you can get out on the river. Our plans are also to extend it out about 2.7 meters on average. So we're making we have better parking, a little bit of a shoulder, but really also feel, you know, very much a part of the village. And that's the plan we are currently working towards. We've worked hard to get a lot of support. We got a great letter from the county that kind of kicked things off. Thank you, Bruce, for that. We have political support. We've been working closely with the Nova Scotia Accessibility Director. The Village Commission has been very involved in kind of every step of the planning of this boardwalk. Their work on accessibility and the importance of that. And they have a new accessibility committee. So they work with us to be sure that we're planning for accessibility and also, you know, from a tourism and economic perspective of destination behavior. It is some of the background work. And to really build it right, build it well, build it so it will last another 50 to 75 years, it's expensive. And the project is around $2 million. We think that's a really good number. We're confident that we'll come in at that number. But that's really what we're working towards. The plan will be to raise the boardwalk another 27 inches. And, you know, that's high enough that it will meet some of the, you know, issues we're facing with climate change. But again, pushing it out 2.7 meters, raising it, you know, 27 nearly a meter, and then to build it with all, you know, its features will be about $2 million. So how do we're ready to go. We're almost ready to go from an engineering perspective, and now it's time really for funding. And where are we on funding? We've been working on that for a while. The county's been a great supporter of us, and you know, we kicked things off by talking to COA. We've been very close to COA through this whole project, and we have I'd say, rock solid commitment from COA for $1 million. But the COA's commitment hinges on county commitment, village commitment. They're all tied together. Now, and I'm really here to talk to you about, you know, what your commitment could be. But COA is in for $1 million. They did an application with the Community Economic Development Fund for about $900,000. COA is in touch with them on our behalf to stress the importance of it. That fund actually funds projects up to $3 million. This project fits squarely within exactly what they do. That application went in the end of January. We hope to hear by April. The Village of Bedeck has been a really important supporter. The land donation, $122,000, with a $25,000 commitment from them. We have some community donations, and I'm here to ask for your contribution. And again, if the county could contribute 75,000, in many ways, it's like the keystone that the other commitments fall within. The village is on board, COA is on board, but they really want to hear that the county is also on board. And I just can't, stress how we think about this as really important for the county, for Cape Breton, and for all of Nova Scotia. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you very much, most informative. Are there any questions for Steve in regards to the project?
Just a
Councilor
comment,
McNeil?
yeah, just a comment for the presentation. I think we all realize how important the waterfront development is here in Bedeck. And also we're going through the same thing in Iona down the waterfront there too. So it is a good project. I think it would benefit the Victoria County, but we'll have to take a budget too. So, yeah, thank you.
Anyone else, any questions or comments? Good. I can just say as a local councillor that can certainly speak to the positive feedback that I've received, both in the way that you've engaged the community and feedback received from that has just been great. Lots of organizations and people talk about doing something around the waterfront of Bedeck for probably 75 years, and you guys have undertaken it. Proven track record of what you've done is excellent work. So what we would do, we would not give you a definite answer today, but we will have to refer your request to budget deliberations, which we'll be entering over the next couple of weeks, month. So if we could, someone from council make a motion to defer this request to budget deliberation.
I make motion to defer.
Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor McNeil. All in favor? Jeremiah, sure.
Could we just remind you to complete an application?
Okay.
Same as every other organization. And just to clarify, is this, so you also came to council on June 12th?
Yeah.
And it was an ask there for 55. Is this the same ask or is this a different ask? That was over 3.
That was for the living shoreline portion of the boardwalk. So in addition to kind of the core boardwalk that we have here, we received a $300,000 grant for the Sustainable Communities Foundation at a living shoreline portion. And so that ask was for that living shoreline portion.
Okay, so this is a separate ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work, please.
Thanks.
Next, we have Bruce McDonald from the Inverness Victoria Federation of Agriculture. So you have a short presentation. Good to see you, sir. Welcome to council, and I know you enjoyed the financial reports.
Yeah, thank you, folks, for inviting our organization. I am here to speak on behalf of the Inverness Victoria Federation of Agriculture. So we're a group that has about 90 members, and the group administers agricultural issues, and the predominant thrust of the organization is allowing a pool of equipment for farmers to rent. Those unfamiliar with farm equipment, it's very, very expensive. kind of speaks more to the industrial meat, dairy industries where they're getting to be such large organizations. Small farmers could never afford the equipment array. So by sharing, and we have rules in place, strict rules, and it's for members based, which is again 90 plus. We put together a pretty good array of equipment, about $1.5 million at original cost, many pieces of equipment. So anyway, I'll just do a little, with some notes that were prepared. They were also shared with your sister county Inverness. So this is kind of a consolidated Inverness, Victoria. So according to the 2021 Census of Agriculture, there were over 28,000 acres of land being farmed in Inverness and Victoria with a variety of agricultural products from apples, beef, blueberries, sheep, goat, dairy, to greenhouse, maple, poultry, hay, strawberry, vegetables, and much more. So the agriculture industry is very diverse. According to the 2021 census, there were 26 operating farms in Victoria County, and I count myself as one of those, and 77 farms in Inverness County. Total gross revenue for all farms for both counties was $13.4 million, but total operating expenses for these farms was over $11.4 million for the same year. Much of these farm operating expenses are spent locally and in our communities, from feed, fuel, fertilizer purchases to contractors, construction services, farm supplies, banks, employees, and local tradespeople, to name a few. Also, our farms and farm families contribute to the community in a variety of other ways as volunteers, consumers, taxpayers, and involved citizens. In addition to this, our farmland is well known for contributing to the beautiful landscapes that draw visitors and tourists to our communities from around the Maritimes and beyond. The farms of Inverness and Victoria are represented by the Federation of Agriculture. The Federation has been actively and continuously involved in supporting Inverness County and the agriculture sector through numerous community and sector projects, including our agricultural machinery rental program. And that is the big moneymaker for the Federation. The machinery rental project has resulted in a range of impacts on all our members, big and small, and to the community at large. It has enhanced the viability of farming and keeps our farms operating, especially young farmers, helping them to get established. Helped attract several new farm families into the community by demonstrating both the attractive services available to farmers as well as the strong community cooperative efforts. Allowed farmers to use machinery associated with new farming technologies that lowers the risks associated with exploring new crops and or using new methods of production. Increased community awareness of the health, economic, and environmental benefits of locally grown food and contributed to our local food security. Enabled the Federation to support student bursary for agriculture, fund school food programs, invest in on-farm research trials, contribute to agriculture education, and support other charitable organizations. And it's also enabled farmers to use more environmentally sustainable practices to reduce our impact on climate change. Rounding out, our most recent project was an investment in specialized equipment that will help us better meet our community and global climate goals of greenhouse gas reduction, carbon capture, and climate change adaptation. Our Federation is not seeking handouts from government. We are seeking investment and partnership so that we can continue to pursue our Federation mission, which is to ensure the competitive and sustainable future for the agriculture industry and a high quality of life for all citizens in Inverness and Victoria County. Every dollar invested in our industry comes back to the community directly and indirectly, multiplied many times over. The number of volunteer hours that our members contribute to the agriculture and community-based project in support of our industry and Inverness County is staggering. The farmers of Inverness and Victoria put their noses to the grindstone and work hard for their families and their community, and too often they don't lift their heads to blow their own horn. It is hoped that the people who represent them will be aware of what they contribute, but if they are not, then we will try and educate themselves to the real value of agriculture beyond the farm gate. And to round out, the Inverness Victoria Federation of Agriculture has always had an open invitation to all councillors to attend our general meeting. We would also like to extend an invitation to host councillors for farm tours to meet the people behind the organization and to learn more about what the industry and what we do. Yeah, that's just a little bit of a breakdown of our organization. We have, over the last number of years, got a grant in the range of $1,000, I think it is, that's 1,500. I guess I was asked to come here today, because we would like to continue that. And there has been a number of pieces of equipment that have come into the Middle River, Big Bedeck area, which are more or less the hubs of the farming in Victoria County. But again, it's open to any farmer that's in Victoria County that joins the Federation. So it's a little bit of a background of what we do, and like to know if there's any questions for me in relation to this.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the update. And actually, as Councillor Patterson asked that you come to council and you had to step out for a Zoom meeting, so
Oh, okay.
our apologies for that. So I just, with that, I just want to open it up to any questions or comments from any other councillors that may have some comments one way or the other. Councillor McLeod?
Just to understand, so the Federation has some machinery that you rate to the farmers.
Yeah, the cost of that equipment is about $1.5 million, and it's been acquired since 1990. And you know, there has been a lot of participation to make this possible through a co-op, much as was presented in the last presentation that Steve did. So they have been the major funding partner, but again, the organization generates in the vicinity of about 100,000 in rental revenues. And then we count into our revenue stream Inverness. Now Inverness is probably to the tune of 85%. A lot of that gross income is from the dairy sector in Inverness County, and we're smaller in Victoria County. But you know, you got to look around, and if you think about it, I'm sure most of everybody in the room has driven in the Highlands. It's pretty bland up there, but when you add the agricultural landscape into the area, it's very good for tourism. It might make a mark on tourists that they pass on to their friends at home. Hey, it's worth a visit here. I mean, Steve has talked, the boardwalk's integral part of the Victoria County landscape, and you know, we think our farm fields and things that we contribute are also help to that end.
Yeah, for sure. I see a lot of, not big farms, but a little, you know, farmers around the county. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, and it's nice to see and hear that might need help. You just
Yeah, another good example of what's happening in the world for those following the international scope there is over in Europe. There's been a very pronounced move to try and reduce carbon emissions, and whichever way you look at it, you know, farm animals have been fingered as some of the bigger greenhouse gas emitters. And I know there's been a few families in Inverness County in the dairy sector. They're basically being pushed out of Holland. And they moved over here, and this was one of the attracting features for them, was the ability to have access to equipment. I know there's at least 2 Dutch families, and there is a family from the Czech Republic that's moved in to Inverness County as well. So, you know, I only see one way for our area in terms of progress in the future, and that's up. And we have a lot of beautiful things. To some degree, it's been suppressed over the years. You know, we didn't have high property values, but unbelievable the change. Even in the housing, to see these tents and everything like that, like, wow, it's been a change. So I'm really bullish on Victoria County and Inverness County, and really Cape Breton as a whole. So if you guys can continue to help us with some of the requests it would be very much appreciated, and I tell you, it's not going to frivolous spending, it's going to something that will be used.
So, sorry, Deputy Ward.
No, I just want to say, Bruce, great work, and good to see the Federation working together, and it's nice seeing Inverness and Victoria County working together. And your ask isn't huge, so
Yeah.
I highly recommend you put in a grant application, same as everybody else, and I'm sure it would probably
Yes.
get favorable
yeah.
consideration.
And, the two counties work very cooperatively together, and, as we all know, when we work cooperatively, we get things done. Yeah. Okay, so, any other questions?
Oh, yeah.
Just one other question, Bruce, and thanks for
Yeah.
the presentation. Do you see a growth in the number of farms in Victoria County over the last?
No, it's been pretty stagnant, but, you know, I still have a feeling that there's going to be some growth there.
I know there's a lot of younger couples.
Yeah.
that are moving in and like, they're not livestock farms or anything like that, but they're starting little gardens and selling things. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like, it's amazing what the settlers did in this area. With these, a set of these and, you know, their backs and, you know, some of that ground is gonna be, taken back in and, you know, it's really an industrial food complex in North America. But, you know, there is talk out of areas like California, which is one of the biggest, that the ground has been so fertilized and so manipulated that might be starting to tail off, and I think that that's going to echo well for us. And even people that want to just grow their own food, you know, with witnessed, I'm 61 years of age, and I've seen a huge transformation in our climate. Like, I mean, it used to be solid winter from the third week of November to April, and that's not the case anymore. You know, we really didn't get into winter to any degree till this month there, so. Anyway, okay.
Just before you leave, I guess my question is, the 26 farms in Victoria County, what constitutes a farm under the Council McNeil's, but what constitutes a
Okay,
farm?
what constitutes a farm is if you're registered.
Oh,
Now, the
okay.
Inverness, or the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture has probably 1,700 farms altogether.
Right,
They're counting the ones that are registered. Normally, they're looking for farms to register that have $10,000 of gross income or more. And that would be the predominant scenario for the 26 farms that are located here.
great. And kind of with that too, is that I, like you, have seen people moving into Victoria County and their smaller firms, and
Yeah.
Paul was mentioned, and I didn't know if there, is that in the upswing? I thought Paul had mentioned it's an increase in firms, so I thought they would be captured in that.
Yeah, no, the criteria I just elaborated on would be the one that I do see more people coming in, especially with the extraordinarily high real estate values, in particular in Ontario, where people are walking away from a bungalow with $1.5 million in their pocket, and they can come here and actually purchase a farm.
Well, listen, I want to thank you very much for your report this afternoon. I would encourage you, as mentioned, to apply for that grant. We've always supported the Federation, so
Yes,
we can't support it unless we get that grant out.
okay,
I'll
sounds
leave that
good.
with
Okay, when is the deadline by that?
March 31st.
March 31st.
Yeah, and keep your eyes open for the call for audit committee members on.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate the opportunity to see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Katrina.
Not here yet.
Yeah.
You want to? You could do this. Okay, no, it's up to you.
No, our next item, our next visitor is not available, not here yet, I should say. So maybe we'll move on to the request, the recommendation from the CAO in regards to the e-voting. So I'll turn it over to Leanne for direction on that.
Thank you. So, as you all know, we are coming up to an election year, municipal election year this year in October. So we are looking to I put together a recommendation report related to the type of voting that is possible for this year. And based on my report, there's a few things that council should decide on. And I am requesting a few different things. Direction from council related to the appointment of a returning officer and the associated fee, the authority to set the tariff of fees and expenses, the authority to expend funds this year for preparation work, use of electronic voting, internet and phone from IntelliVote or Seidel, which are two companies that we've received bids from, the dates for advanced polling period and nomination day, the direction on how to advise the public of preliminary list of electors for revisions, the permission to update electors list database up to the end of the poll day, and the use of Nova Scotia Permanent Registry for Voters from Elections Nova Scotia. So I've included a few different background information related to it. Back in 2020, we had voting in 3 different areas. We used nothing but e-voting, which included phone voting and internet voting. And on the day of the election, we had a polling station set up where it was still electronic on, I think it was a laptop that we used for it. It worked out really well. I think we had about 70% voter turnout related to that. And so I'm recommending that we use that again as the source. I've been in contact with our returning officer from our prior, from our 2020 election. I've received a contract offer from Blair Gallup, where he has agreed to come back, and he will then run the election process. We also know that it is getting harder to get people to work the polls, so we may have to set the amount that it's set for the pollsters to be a bit higher. But I'd like the discretion to be able to do that. So I'm recommending a motion that council, before we get to the motion, we should, does anyone have any thoughts related to this?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment, the last election was very smooth, probably the smoothest one I've ever seen. Blair did an excellent job, IntelliVote did an excellent job. I have no issues with proceeding in the same direction as we did last time. So that's my thoughts on it.
Great.
Anyone else, any
So
questions?
you're
comments?
proposing it's gonna be the same as last year, basically?
Yeah.
That's,
So I'm
Or not last
proposing,
year, but
yeah,
four
so
years.
so we've received 2 quotes, one from IntelliVote, which is the system that we used in 2020. It was seamless. This year, and that came from, I believe last time HRM was using IntelliVote and they passed down the pricing related to that. We've reached out to the 2 organizations that HRM has changed to Seidel this year, and pricing was available from them as well. I've reached out and I got quotes from IntelliVote, who we used in the past, and Seidel. And I've included those numbers in the report and the background that you have. I think based on the numbers and based on the seamless voting that there was, I would recommend that we use IntelliVote for this year as well.
Yeah, that was my question, then what, the staff would like to do.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
that's.
yeah.
Pricing alone.
The pricing alone
was- And plus, there was no issues. So.
and the seamlessness
change
of
it.
it. Yeah.
So those are the recommendations in the report provided, and we would require a motion to proceed with that recommendation to the CAO.
So I have 8 points to a
8
recommendation.
points. Yep.
So I'm recommending to council that council appoint Blair Gallup as the returning officer for the 2024 municipal election, setting the fee for the returning officer to a maximum of $16,000 with invoices to be approved by the warden. That council gives authority to the CAO to determine the tariff of fees and expenses for the 2024 municipal election. That council agree to a full electronic method, which is either internet or phone, from IntelliVote Systems Inc. for the 2024 municipal election. That council set the dates for the advanced polling period from Thursday, October 10th, 2024 to the close of voting on regular election poll day of October 19th, 2024. Nomination day to be held on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. The council agrees that in addition to the methods mandated by the Municipal Elections Act, to notify the preliminary list of electors and revision methods that be left to the discretion of the returning officer to determine additional notification mechanisms that will improve the accuracy of the electors list. The council authorizes election staff to continue to amend the electors list database in conjunction with the electronic voting system up to and including the regular election poll day. The council authorizes the use of the Nova Scotia Permanent Registry of Voters provided by Elections Nova Scotia as the preliminary list of electors for the 2024 municipal elections for Victoria County, and that the returning officer do public education on the upcoming election and offer information sessions for potential candidates.
So have you received all that information in the report that was sent to you? So are there any questions before we ask for a motion to proceed with the recommendation of CA in regards to e-voting?
So you say it's gonna be all phone or internet, so there's not gonna be any like in person?
So on the day of, there's not gonna be any paper ballots.
Okay,
So on the day of, same as the last one, the day of the election, there will be a polling station set up in whichever districts that there is an actual, an election where there should be a poll. And residents can go there and do it electronically.
so there will there be one in every district?
Wherever there is an election.
Yeah, oh, okay, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Councillor McNeil?
Thank you, Ward. Will, just checking, will there be a full remuneration of voters? Like, people going from resident to resident?
So I think the way that they do it is he will start with a list that comes from Elections Nova Scotia, which comes from the census. And everyone on your tax return, there's a list there that says, do you allow your name to go to Elections Nova Scotia? So that's the original way.
Okay.
We will not be going out to remunerate the whatever method that it is, the actual residents, but there will be consolidation, and the returning officer will be able to collect the names. There'll be a mail out to every address that says if you're not on the list, get your name forward, or there's a way to see if you're registered.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was quite seamless.
Okay.
Did you have a question? Anybody else?
I just agree.
You're in agreement?
I'm in agreement.
So we like the idea of these things, so we have a motion to that effect with the 8 recommendations to be adopted by the CAO. It's moved by the deputy warden. We have a seconder for that, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor McLeod, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion's carried.
Thank you.
And we please proceed as outlined.
Great.
She's gonna be the 10 minutes, so do you wanna do the recess and then come back, or?
Actually, what we will do is we'll do the minutes.
Yep.
And then we'll see where we're at and celebrate it on the So we received the minutes of council for January 22nd. It was included in your package. Were there any errors or omissions in those minutes?
I have a question, and
Yes.
when we was with Eastern District Planning, is that right? That means, in the end, like I say, Councilor McLeod asked if my full research will allow Mr. McKinnon to get to refer during 60 days. Is no answer there, so we have to put the answer that,
Was in the motion that they is. Well, the lady said, I don't know, I'll have to see, but then the motion was 60 days with no extension, so.
okay,
So
with that,
the motion was 60 days
No.
to get the work done.
okay.
Well, she said it offside, and she
Nothing's been done
said,
yet.
I hope I can get it done, I don't know, I could have got it done 3 months ago, but that was getting into that.
Yeah, because in my understanding, the motion is like that, we give it 60 days to do that, but I just, I don't know, it have to be there, the same, Scott give the just to get in the property. But that was the issue, right? That they couldn't do the work. It's just to clarify that.
Yeah, and I think that was between the two.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I did ask that question though. I did ask that question. It's not in the minutes, but I did ask Scott if he was going to allow her to go on his property because he said she was trespassing. And he said, oh yeah, that he would.
So
That's not
those
in
things though are sort of, they're outside of the motion that we are able to make. So the conversation that was happening was sort of,
that's right.
that was for
Between
those
them.
two
Okay.
to decide, yeah, because if he doesn't, or if he does, or if they do, or if they don't, after 60 days, we have the ability to go in and tear it down and it gets billed to both of them.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
legally, they figure that stuff out.
Okay, thanks. That's
And
it.
Scott did agree to the extension as well.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did. So any other questions, comments, or corrections from the minutes?
That's-
We're good. Can we have a motion to accept the minutes or approve the minutes of January 22nd? I'm sorry, did you, Councillor McLeod? We have a seconder by Councillor Longo, all in favor?
Aye.
Andre Minor, motion is carried. We also had a special council meeting on January 30th. Were there any errors or omissions in that, in those minutes that were circulated to you prior to today? Hearing none, can we have a motion to accept the minutes of January 30th special council meeting?
Make a motion.
Moved by Councillor McNeil, seconded by
Second.
Deputy Warden Doffy, all in favor? Roger reminded, motion's carried, the minutes have been approved. Is there anything else that you do?
So I don't do it anymore, I just have a
You
couple
just
of
gonna
points
do
to
that,
start.
right?
Yep.
So we have received the CAO's report with your documents for the meeting today. We are looking at not doing the whole report as usual, but the CAO has a couple of highlights that should bring forward, and we'll open any questions about any of what she's going to mention, or if there's anything in her report that she didn't mention. So turn it over to Leanne, please.
Okay, so you've received my report, so just noting a couple of things that I'd like the public to be aware of. We're still looking for a member of the public to be on our audit committee, and we'll be putting out advertising related to that again. It should be someone with a finance background, and hoping that we can find some member to do that. In the Public Works Department, we are also looking for source water protection committee members. And if you're interested, please contact Greg Weir, greg.weir@victoriacounty.ca. Just a point of note, in fact, in December, you agreed to be part of the EPR program. So just wanted to note that every municipality has actually opted into the EPR program across Nova Scotia. So in communications, everyone should have received their newsletter. It went out Friday. Thanks to Jessica for picking them up and mailing them out. I know that there's some staff who have received theirs, so if you didn't receive it, it should be coming out very soon. Included in that is a budget survey. So we're asking the public to get involved. The budget survey will be on a website as well as in the newsletter. And it's in the newsletter in print form. A couple of other things. We talked at our special council session where we replaced the RAV4 with an F-150 for municipal travel. So we have that in our possession. And one thing, you asked for a Nova Scotia Power letter at the last session. We've received information back from Nova Scotia Power on questions that had been sent to them. We didn't send the letter because we received that response. Wondering if you still want the letter to go out.
I don't think there's a need now. I think they answered our questions. I think what we do is wait a couple of weeks, a month, see if we're still hearing the same complaints, and then we can go forward at that time. But I think for now, by bringing them here, they're only going to give us the same answers they've already given us, and it seems to be an improvement, so let's keep our fingers crossed.
Okay.
Can I ask some clarification? I still want them to come?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No, not
No.
yet.
Letter. Oh, okay.
We'll see how things are going. They've made improvements, and we'll see if they work
Okay.
out.
Councillor McNeil had a question.
Just one thing with the Source Water Protection Committee. I know back when this was first mentioned, probably in 2000, back in 2008 or 9, when it was first mentioned. I think they wanted committee members from each of the districts that had a water utility on that. Is that still, do They still
Still
got
is.
members? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Upland, Plan Victoria,
Yes.
who had a resident that had a couple of questions, concerns, who should they direct their question? Do they direct to the planning commission, do they direct to the Upland?
To Upland. So
Correct.
Plan Victoria is also doing a mail out. That should be received. If it hasn't been received in your mailbox yet, it is there this week. That was also mailed out last week. There's addresses, there's phone numbers on there to reach out. They are also doing a public session north, because the one that was scheduled north, back in November during when the road washed out, that was moved to online. So they are doing one north at the Cabot Fire Department, I believe, is where that is at. And then they're having a couple of other sessions with, groups of interest that they are also putting out, and there could be invites going out from those groups of interest in other areas. But the only public one that they are doing for all the public is north.
At the Cabot Fire Department?
That is on the sheet. I don't see that before, but
I know the public that, like, I've spoke to in my area, like, they want more input, they want more sessions, they ask for this, like, you know, it just seems like it's been going on for years and there's been no public, there's hardly been any public input, like, meetings. There was like one in, Englishtown in my area, but I know people wanted to have more meetings. And your report, it says there's a draft of a strategy, is that right? They've made a draft?
it's the draft, which is
Yeah.
available online. It's all part of the handout that's going out. Any residents that can look on the website wherever this draft, whatever the website is on this handout. And any residents who have any concerns or want in, or have input, there's directions there on how to contact Upland about it.
And then I also had someone say that they feel the deck should be included in that, Plan Victoria, because they weren't, because they already had zoning done here, but it's very outdated. It was like
So-
years ago.
Yep, BDEC is in the process of their own planning strategy currently. So that is happening.
If I could, we're meeting on the 26th of February. Potentially, there's a couple of dates, and Gary is also
And
involved.
it's a public meeting.
It's open to the public for sure, yeah. And we'll be reviewing that document
And where will that be at?
here at the courthouse. It could be virtual as well, but it should be here. We just sent out our availability this morning. And that meeting is not confirmed, but it was on the 26th, am I right on that, Gary?
I think it might end up being the 28th,
28th, yeah.
but one or the other, Monday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think that's the document you're talking about, Leanne.
Yeah, Plan Victoria.
And the input is still open until the end of March.
Mhm.
So
It's a draft. The document that's on there is currently a draft, yeah.
but it was just a feedback question, like people
Yeah.
can still feedback for a long time, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Regards to the CAO's report today?
I wondered what the expansion project was with Theater BDEC.
So Theater BDEC is looking to do some renovations to, I don't want to speak on behalf of Theater BDEC. I don't know all the plans, but our economic development officer has been helping them in expansion plans for creating a better space than what they're in currently. And so they're looking for different funding options. So I think that they're planning on coming to council to talk about what their upcoming plans are. That was mostly for an FYI for, I don't have all the details because that would be their project.
It's not necessarily our responsibility.
Yes, correct.
And I had one other point, not about your report, but about the motion that Paul made before about the minutes of that meeting, and I don't think you were at the meeting, so I don't think he's allowed to make the motion. Is that
No,
right?
it's not, you're correct.
Yeah.
So which motion was that?
It was a special meeting, myself or Paul weren't there.
Okay, so we'll rescind that motion because it is not,
I'll make a motion.
so who seconded it?
Deputy Warden.
I'll make the motion
Moved to rescind,
to rescind, yeah.
and then we'd like a motion to approve it.
It's the same motion.
So can we have a,
I think you just made a motion. I'm just changing here. I don't think it's the exact same motion. You're still making the motion
Yeah.
for the minutes. He can't make the motion. Somebody else has to take it.
It's got to be corrected.
I think it has to be rescinded, yeah.
It has to be rescinded, correct? Okay, I think, but I think
Just in case we
say
send
we'll
it.
do it, yeah. So we have that motion to, by mover and seconder, rescind that original motion, and we new motion. Moved by the deputy warden, seconded by individual who was at that meeting. Thank you.
Going once, going twice.
Your water. All in favor? Okay, we're gonna take a recess for 10 minutes.
yeah,
Are we still live?
We're not- Be here.
I would love to.
So, we're gonna reconvene now. The next item up, we have a resident has concerned, they wish to bring forward to council, that is Katrina McKenzie, who lives in the deck. So Katrina, we've allocated a few minutes for you, that's what you asked for, so.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Great, thank you very much. So thanks everyone who's here. I'm hoping to put closure for myself on the renaming of Campbell Street. Because I wasn't invited to any of the kind of final council meetings that were reviewing this proposal, I'm not sure if all the councillors are aware of exactly how it played out. So reason for me being here today is to shed a little light on kind of my point of view, and that if there are in the future any renamings or similar processes, to maybe ask some more discovery questions and find out whether it's really going to be beneficial, and also to make sure that the process is completed, which it wasn't done, it wasn't completed until February 9th, I completed the process. So Warden Bruce Morrison paid me a visit proposing that Campbell Street be renamed Jessica Long Lane. I told Bruce I needed to consult with my mother, who's the homeowner, and my brother. My brother was indifferent. My mother was against the renaming. She wanted to see Jessica commemorated and thought renaming the rink would better serve to highlight her accomplishment and inspire others. So I informed Bruce of the name vote and offered the suggestion. Sometime later, Bruce paid me another visit just to see if my family had changed our mind, and we didn't. So I asked if it was a sure thing, and Bruce said no, it wasn't. There were some administrative processes that still needed to be done, but basically we've been outvoted. So I heard nothing further, and I assume that the proposal must have been rejected since. My homeowning next door neighbors and I are the only residents on the street, and we both voted no. That was the 2 no votes. My rationale for this assumption being that surely the wishes of the 2 residents would not be trumped by empty lots of land, a hotel parking lot, and government-owned land. So mid-June, I was shocked when I was paying my water bill that this renaming had already happened. And in fact, there was a sign planting ceremony on June the 5th. I wasn't advised that things had become official. Neither was my mother, the homeowner, nor were my next door neighbors. So, over the course of July 2023, I had quite a bit of back and forth communication with Leanne Kekin disputing the renaming. I eventually gave up dismayed and with lost respect that municipality of Victoria County really genuinely cared about residents. Next came the administrative task of updating my contacts with this new street name. So this posed a big problem because in our digital age, online mapping systems, namely Google and Apple, were still displaying Campbell Street. So not only did this cause numerous glitches with my contact updates and some deliveries, but it posed a greater problem for my employment. I'm a remote employee with company assets in my home office, and the nature of my work requires a very high level of security, including RCMP fingerprinting. Keeping my address up to date with my employer is part of the security protocol. Luckily, I still have this job, but after 6 months of waiting for the maps to be updated, I gave up. I initiated the process on the 15th of January, And the approval for Google Maps and publishing happened on January 22nd. Apple took a little longer, February 9th. And so I feel I should be invoicing the municipality of Victoria County for completing this neglected yet crucial administrative task of putting Jessica Long Lane on the map. So I don't know who I should present this to. And so now it's completed. I guess the file can be closed on the renaming of that invoice. So,
Okay.
was that around 5 minutes there, maybe a little longer?
You did very well, you stayed right on time. So thank you, Katrina, and just a couple of quick things. There is a process that we followed with the planning commission and the Department of Transportation to follow through on the proper procedures of renaming. We do it, you know, it's done a couple times a year in different locations across the municipality. So with that, we'll accept this today, and I would suggest, I haven't opened this, I don't know what's in it, but for, you're looking for, if I understand you, you're looking for reimbursement or?
Yeah, for my time in completing this, as I mentioned, this
So-
administrative task on behalf of the
Yep.
municipality.
So with that, is there a form of request for reimbursement?
Yes,
Okay.
there's a numbered invoice.
So what we'll do with this today is we'll take this under advisement, we'll give it to, pass it on to the administrative section of the municipality. And we'll see where the recommendation comes back.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, and our apologies for any inconvenience, but like I say, we did follow due course, and you've made your comments clear to me on a few occasions, so I accept that and respect that. So thank you very
Yes.
much for this, and we'll keep it in mind as we move forward to the next renaming. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and there was that one line in the policy that if you are to do a renaming after a living person, that it should have significantly contributed to the community. So there was there were several Campbell's history of it. So I'm wondering whose history are we squishing out? And really, who looks at
Did speak with one of the descendants of Campbell.
Okay, but
Anyway,
still,
we,
still, my mom we were never told, right, Bruce? So next time, if you can come knocking on doors, please come knock, slip us a note, let us know it's a done deal, and let us have the opportunity to present at council before it gets all the way pushed through.
Will do.
No return.
we'll do this. Thank you, and I'm passing your correspondence directly to the CAO, so there it is.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Could I just make one comment, and a note of caution to anybody who requests a street name change, like the one there? I've had a couple, and I found the biggest problem with the post office. And the post office only has to overdue mail for 6 months. And then people don't get their mail if the address is not correct, unless it's a small country post office that's kind of goes with your minds and where they know you, and they'll slip it to you, you know, kind of, because they could lose their job for doing the post office. So, you know, that's kind of a cautionary tale, I think, for all of us. The post
It's always,
office-
always lesson learned, but I can assure you, went to the residents.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, yeah.
Followed up when they weren't sure, went back to double check, indicated that it was over
Yeah.
60%, so.
But see, we can't be assured that the post office gets that information.
No,
And she was talking to Google Maps. We changed our name probably 15 years ago. Some maps is still the old name.
Sure it is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's.
All right, thank you, and we're gonna move on to the next item. We're gonna deal with district concerns and start with Councillor McLeod, please.
Thanks. I just have 3 of them. I need a street light. I sent to you an email with the information. It's a street light for Hunter Mountain and city number 815. They have a street light, but it's in the woods, so they have another pole close to the driveway. It's a long driveway, so they want to move the light. They contact our special power, but they said we have to go to the municipality. So I will talk to you to see. It's not the, it's going to be in the road, but it is, like, it's here, but it need to be close to the, when she get in the driveway. So it's still in the road.
Okay.
Yeah, but, I just sent it to you, so, yeah, I will talk to you right now. This is concern about, it's more like a Councilor McNeil's district, but I have time to talk to you. It's just for TIR, the bridge between, Bagmacock and Mayanza have huge holes and everybody's just ouching.
Can I talk about that? I was talking to Steve McDonald today about it. They're supposed to patching it tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, because if I receive some complaints, I know it's no longer in my district.
Yeah.
And
No, thank you.
yeah, well, and today I went to Inverness. I know it's not where it's the area, but if we can just send a note, you know, there's some holes around between go to Marguerite and people now is going to Inverness Hospital because they sent us to there. So everybody is just, it's a short, they have to be paid, so they have to make it for people traveling now for hospital, right? And other than that, just where we are with the Nova Scotia Authority, if they want to come to the council soon, or we asked to come, but we hold that for a little bit, so I don't know what is council thinking, we can ask them to come, okay, to give us update from the UTC.
If you have, if you like that, yep.
You see that? Are they coming March 11th? Did I need that somewhere? No?
We have them scheduled to come in.
We can put in a request to have.
Yeah.
them forward. Yep.
And that's it, thanks.
Anything else, Councillor?
You know what, February 27, I will be here, 11 to 12, or if any resident wants to come and talk to me. I have a conversation at 11 o'clock, February 27.
You have office hours here?
Yeah, outside, yeah, 11 to 12. Thank you. That's it, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Longbaugh.
Yeah, I had, someone ask me for 2 hidden driveway signs. Would that be through Steve McDonald? Okay, so I'll get in touch with him also. I think these are all, for him, maybe that there's, the sign at Skirdu, was knocked down or taken out by a plow or something. That's years, I think it's several years ago, and the people there would like it replaced. And the other one was, another one for Steve is, there's a sharp turn by the provincial park that's just down from the Gaelic College. And when they did the road work there, some dirt was put in a spot where it didn't used to be, and things grew in it and made it really, the visibility on the turn really bad, because people often come around the turn on the wrong side of the road and you can't see it now because of this, new growth that's there. I mean, it's covered in snow now, but. So those are my only concerns today.
Thank you.
And I send that to Steve McDonald.
Okay. Between you and Steve. Deputy Clerk.
Yeah, thanks, Warden. No real concerns. Had a couple of it, Steve McDonald that Steve's been dealing with, and response has been excellent. Been really good. So thanks very much to the Department of Transportation.
Great.
And that's it.
Good to hear. Councillor Patterson.
I'm in the same vein as, Godfrey with Nova Scotia Power. For some reason, well, I know the reason now, I didn't know the reason last Saturday night when part of the lights were at my house. And, I reported to Nova Scotia Power, I thought I might have pronounced that issue. 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard this noise out in the air. What is going on? They were there at 1 o'clock. And he phoned me and said, hate to get disturbed. It was a long fuse. Well, I'm not going to fool around with electricity, so I got a neighbor who's an electrician who did. The other part of that is Emily McNeil's, email stuff that she sent us regarding, she admitted that they had problems with permits, Larry, you know, and, all those things, and they're trying to improve their system of, clearing them up faster, I guess is what it is. So that's a good sign. That's basically it.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Councillor Orton.
I'm gonna take up your times. I was gonna bring up the snow removal around the fire hydrants in, Niels Harbor, New Haven area, but I did see our water by there, Lance today with a backhoe, he was, doing that, so thank you for that. I just want to tell everybody that there is a free income tax drop-off clinic for seniors and low income on Saturday, March the 9th at the Legion in Ingonish, North Ingonish, 105, branch 105. I received an email a week or so ago from a resident asking about some infrastructure going on in the community and if I knew what it was. Well, I had no idea at the time, and I was accused that I should, since it was in my district. Well, I apologize that I did not know what was going on at the time. I do know now, but it was not a municipal infrastructure thing, so I don't think Steve McDonald should call me every time something needs to be done in one of our drains or on our road. So I'm not always privy at everything that's going on in our district. So if anybody that has anything that they want to tell me that's going on infrastructure way, good news, bad news, or whatever, email me. But since there are 7 projects that are, not 7, there's some projects going on. So I just want to give some good news. For District 7, they're rebuilding the main wharf in North Bay, which is a great big project. In Niels Harbor, they're doing geotech project on the wharf for wharf expansion. And ramp repair since Fiona, that's being done in Niels Harbor. New Haven, they're removing decommissioned wharf and repairing another wharf. And White Point, they're doing land-based dredging for the harbor. A new bridge is being built just past the hospital called Halfway Brook by Parks Canada. So there's been a lot of activity going on in District 7.
Mayor.
Oh, yes, a new manor where, that's, and hopefully soon our new transfer station. So like I said, if any resident has any good news stories or of their district that want to tell me that so I can share with the rest of the area, please email me at jackie.organ@victoriacounty.ca or give me a call, but preferably email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Good news for the district.
Yes.
Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Morgan, and congratulations, Councillor, for getting all that work.
Woohoo. I'll take the credit for it, Paul.
Actually, I just have one thing. I want to thank the plow operators and the contractors for the snow removal over the past number of storms in my district. The roads were cleared basically the day after, or close to the day after the storm. So I just want to thank them for doing that. So that's it. And just to comment again on the bridge in Nyanza, I just received that email from Steve McDonald, probably about 5 minutes before Councillor brought that up. So hopefully they'll be patched tomorrow.
Thank you, Councillor.
Oh my goodness, this must be a dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just from my district, Deputy Warden, I'd just like to make a quick motion just because of the importance. No parking signs are missing up from just by the Irving property.
Yes.
The pole was, and there was a transfer truck parked right here, no former no parking signs, not indicated. There was one there this morning, which is a dangerous area, so it's just because normally I just mention it, but maybe contact Steve McDonald and ask him to replace that sign ASAP before something. I just like to make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do you have a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Second by Councillor Longo. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Thank you. And just the other thing I just want to mention, and the Deck Nordic Ski Club, they just opened the trails 2 weeks ago. It's primarily under the leadership of 3 people, Eileen Woodford, Carol Campbell, and Steve Boyle. And they cleared those trails. They got funding to get them dozed so they could be done properly. And they continue to do all the grooming, and they've done got all the signage. And I think I would just invite any of you that have the opportunity, they've also accessed some funding from the municipality. But a great investment of their time, they should be acknowledged for what they've done. And if you get an opportunity, there's 8.9 kilometers of trail there now. And it's, they've really done a wonderful job. And I'd just like to send a little note to them, if we could, from council, acknowledging the work they've done and how far they've come in a year and a half. The property owner, we should mention too, is Dr. Mary Doyle, and she was very generous with the use of that property. So I just want to make a point of that. I was on the trail the other day, and there's people from Marguerite, there's people from Sydney. So it's been well done, and they should be recognized for the kind and effort they put into that. Other than that, those are the only 2 items that I want to bring up.
I had something else.
One thing from your district, yes.
Yes, well, Councillor Organ spurred my memory there. The Canada Revenue Agency Volunteer Income Tax Program is going to host a free walk-in drop-off clinic for seniors and low-income individuals at St. Anne's Bay United Church on Saturday, March 9th from 2 to 4 and Monday, April 1st from 2 to 4. And for anyone that is a shut-in and can't get out, they also are going to have a phone service available.
May I ask who's organizing those, Bert and Jackie?
CRA,
Yes.
Who is it there?
that's the Canada Revenue.
But there has to be a person.
I have a contact. I'll have to just look.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Barb, and I think there's one at the deck at the region as well. I'm not sure of the date, but maybe if we do have those, we can put them up on our website.
Yep.
Yeah, can you guys send me dates, you know, just email me the dates and then.
Yeah, it's an actual notice that came out, so we'll, the council would ask the board to step.
Thank you.
All right, that is district concerns, correspondence, any questions, as most of it has been received. You've had a chance to look at them. Is there anybody who wish to comment and discuss any correspondence that was sent to you prior to this meeting? Committee reports. Anybody have a committee report they wish to provide a brief report on?
Just for the Korea County Transit, just so you know, we have the H1 already, almost ready to in the road. Just doing some signing and paperwork, but stay tuned. See where you can be the road.
Good. Doing the RAD4s in service now?
Yeah, H1.
That's H1. Sorry, I can't keep track. Are the bigger buses back in service yet?
Was has taken back, so it's still.
We're having some issues.
It's issues with
Okay.
parts.
That's just for my information, actually.
I think I saw fiber optic trucks in St. Anne's today. Did you guys notice any when you came by? I saw 2 trucks, one in Rooster Hill and one by Allen Clouds. It looked like they were fiber optic on the side of their white van.
They were there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
Do we have any questions from the public?
That's not an option there.
Okay, it's just on the agenda.
Yeah, so that would be in my.
Oh, sorry, just, guess not. All right, next council meeting is,
Next council meeting is set for
March 26th.
March 26th. And committee of the whole is March 11th.
committee of the whole, March 11th,
There's also budget.
Which is March 11th.
Which is March 11th.
March 26th is council.
Yeah, budget.
It's March 11th.
March 11th, and maybe the whole other two on March 11th.
Okay, we have those notifications anyway. Next council is March 26th. All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.